This is going to be weird as a pastor. Sometimes I don't like listening to the Holy Spirit because it doesn't feel good. I want to feel that that person knows exactly what I'm thinking and feeling. And that's the hard thing with relationships. We can't control how the other person feels, how the other person thinks. We can control how we go about interacting with this person that we say we care about. And discernment is that pause button that lets you step back and say, is this the right time and place to communicate this? So a few tools around discernment to help you understand how and when and what to speak. So here's a few questions. Do I actually care about the person or people my words will impact? Do I actually care about these people, or am I more interested in putting my opinion out there? Listen, we all have Facebook. You have that person you went to high school with 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago, 40 years ago, and they write an opinion about something that you completely disagree about or disagree with. But do you care about the person who wrote it, or do you care that your opinion is going to be posted in their comments? There's a big difference. If you care about the person, it should add a filter of, should I communicate this or not? I had a friend from high school a couple of years ago during one of the mass shootings. I was, put out something about just praying for people, and she was so upset. She went in my comments, just blew it up. Praying as such, and she used all sorts of language. You Christians, put a bunch of language. I just heard her up. And I wanted to respond in front of everybody. Right? She did it in front of everybody. I should respond in front of everybody. And I responded in care and concern, said, hey, I understand. And I understand how sometimes we as Christians have not represented Jesus very well on the earth. But do you know that prayer is not just about fixing the situation. Prayer is about comfort. God's Spirit being with these families. And the tone just changed. Sometimes I don't like, weird as a pastor, sometimes I don't like listening to the Holy Spirit because it doesn't feel good. I want to feel that that person knows exactly what I'm thinking and feeling. It's just so that there's clarity in the relationship. Right? But my need for clarity is a weapon used against the other person. Discernment helps us understand that. Will my words bear good fruit or bad fruit in this situation? Have I truly listened to all sides before speaking up? And number 4, did I pray about it? Pastor Carlos, I don't need to pray about it. I don't want to pray about it. Well, then there's your answer. Shut up. That's harsh. In our family, we don't say shut up. I know. But some of us should. Why? Because if we're not willing to pray about it, then it must not really matter. So just keep it to ourselves. I know these are practical questions, but they're practical questions for everyday life and living so that we can be a true reflection of Jesus. One of our pastors, Pastor Ricky, you've heard him speak here before, Ricky Echiona, wrote a tips for taming your tongue and your thumbs. And we're going to share that with you really quick as we close out today. Tips to walk in wisdom in this area. The first one is this: admit you need help. Admit you have a problem with taming the tongue. You have to do that. You have to admit you have trouble with your thumbs and all the things that you want to say. Number 2, pray about it daily. Psalm 141, set a guard over my mouth, Lord. Keep watch over the door of my lips. Number 3, confess it and move on. When you mess up, because you will, just confess it. Yeah, I'm sorry. I did say that. I didn't mean for it to come across that way, but I'm going to own it. Number 4, seek accountability. Many of you already do this. Send that text you want to send to a running partner, somebody that you trust spiritually. How does this sound? Is this coming across right? Send that email to somebody else first before you send it out to everybody else. Number 5, practice speaking life. Don't just have negative things to say. Encourage people. Build people up. Number 6, don't say through media what you wouldn't say in person. I've seen some of you guys on social media. You guys have big mouths. And then I meet you in person, you're like, hi, nice to meet you. I'm like, oh man, in person, you're so quiet. But online, you're loud. You use all capital letters, right? Number 7, this is if you're married or you're in a committed relationship. If you can't read in front of your spouse or significant other, don't send it and check your heart. Listen to this stat. Did you know over 50% of all divorce filings have the word Facebook, Instagram, or another social media account in the writings? Yeah, let that hit home. Number 8, words have both a when and where. Do you know when and where to share it? And part of that is sometimes we have to shut ourselves out from the rest of the world. Turn the phone off. Turn off the email. Get perspective. And then number 9, just like we don't drink and drive, don't text angry. Just some practical tips. Why? Because we want us to truly be in the hands and feet of Jesus in the earth. And we use all these words and the wisdom and all these kind of things, but you have to understand something. The greatest words ever spoken are by Jesus. He lives this sinless life. He had to wrestle with his words that he shared. It ruffled people's feathers. And then he finds himself fulfilling his call when he's on a cross in the great exchange of your sin and my sin and our shame and where we fall short for his grace, his mercy and forgiveness, and right relationship with God the Father. Right before he passes, he says 3 words that change history. It is finished. And some of us in the room believe that. Many of us believe that, and we've committed our lives to following Jesus and listening to who he is and following in his footsteps and his precepts. And there's some of us who are exploring faith. Some of us exploring for a long time. Some are new to the exploration, and you're really being honest about if God's real. And would you know that we have to use our words to acknowledge that? To say, Jesus, I believe you're real. I don't know what that means. I don't know what it implies. But I am in need of who you are. And I acknowledge with my mouth and confess that you are Lord. I confess where I fall short. I confess that I've tried this life on my own and I can't do it. I need your wisdom. And you know what you get? You get a God who says, finally, because I loved you and knew you before you could ever love and know me. See, words matter. And they have all sorts of implications. They're powerful. So let's be wise in how and when we use them to bring life and not death.